Welcome to Dr. K's Lecturecast in Anatomy. Today we are going to read about a cranial nerve, which is the glossopharyngeal nerve. Glossopharyngeal nerve, we all know it is the ninth cranial nerve and it gives only one motor branch and also sensory branches to the tongue, pharynx and the associated structures. So it is a mixed nerve. In my lecture, I have mentioned about the functional component, so let's get it shortly. Special visceral efferent, general visceral efferent, special visceral afferent, general visceral afferent and general somatic afferent. Remember, afferent means towards the brain and efferent means towards the effective organ. Viscera is something related to the systems, any system in our body. Say for example, here we can relate it to the digestive system because tongue and pharynx are involved. And then special means, one thing you should note here is stylopharyngeus is the only muscle supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve, the only motor branch given by the glossopharyngeal nerve to the stylopharyngeus muscle. So this stylopharyngeal branch is considered to be special visceral efferent because the stylopharyngeus comes from the third branchial arch, so it is considered to be special. And then general visceral efferent. So for all these we have nucleus, ambiguous, and then we have inferior salivatory nucleus. This one is nucleus of Tractus solitarius. Dorsal nucleus of vagus. And then spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve or fifth cranial nerve. One thing you should remember is, among all the last four cranial nerves, the 9th, 10th, glossopharyngeal, vagus and the accessory emerges from the posterolateral sulcus of medulla. Whereas the 12th cranial nerve, which is the hypoglossal nerve, is the only nerve emerging from the anterolateral sulcus of the medulla oblongata. So now let's take this as the pons from which the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th cranial nerves emerges. This is the medulla. And this is the anterolateral sulcus, and behind, when you see here, is the posterolateral. So the 9th, 10th, 11th arises from posterolateral sulcus. Whereas the hypoglossal nerve alone emerges from the anterolateral sulcus. Now, through what foramen does the glossopharyngeal nerve exits out? Through the jugular foramen. And as we see the jugular foramen, the hypoglossal canal lies behind, the jugular foramen is here, and then the carotid canal is in the front. The last four cranial nerves are in between the internal jugular vein and the internal carotid artery. Let's see how. See, this is the jugular foramen. I am dividing it into three compartments. This is for inferior petrosal sinus, and then in between we have the 9th, 10th and 11th cranial nerves emerging, and this one is for the hypoglossal nerve, and this one is for the exit of the internal jugular vein. We all know internal carotid artery is nothing but continuation of the common carotid artery. This is the common carotid artery, this is the external carotid artery, and this is the internal carotid artery. So all these four cranial nerves somewhere are related. See, this is the hypoglossal nerve and three nerves emerging here, the glossopharyngeal, the vagus and the accessory. All these three cranial nerves are related. They either run behind and then in between and cross either the anterior aspect of the internal carotid artery, and when you see accessory, it is related to the internal jugular vein. So this is the exit. The three cranial nerves, 9th, 10th and 11th cranial nerve exit through the jugular foramen, and the hypoglossal nerve emerges out of the skull through the hypoglossal canal. This is the inferior petrosal sinus through the anterior compartment of the jugular foramen. Now let's get into the branches and area of distribution of the glossopharyngeal nerve. We saw until it exits from the jugular foramen. When you see here, after it emerges from the posterolateral sulcus of the medulla, the rootlets come out, and the main branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve has a small superior ganglion and a larger inferior ganglion. Remember here, inferior ganglion are nothing but aggregation of nerve cell bodies. From here, let's see the branches one by one. Okay. So one branch here, one branch is given off here. We'll name it later. And then one branch is coming here. Let's draw the tongue, and we need one bone called as the hyoid bone. We need another bony process called as the styloid process. One muscle from the styloid process to the pharynx. We call that as the stylopharyngeus, and there are constrictors of pharynx, and we all know middle constrictor has an insertion to the hyoid bone. We have the tonsil here, and then the soft palate. This one is the So now let's get into the branches here. This is one ligament from the styloid process to the hyoid bone, stylohyoid ligament. So let's get into the first branch here. There is also one branch given to the auricle. Then to the middle ear, there is something called as the promontory, where this branch we'll call it as the tympanic branch, the first branch. So tympanic branch forms the tympanic plexus. From here, one twig is given off to the auditory tube, and one branch called as the lesser petrosal nerve goes and relays into one ganglion called as the otic ganglion, and from here it supplies the parotid gland, that is secretomotor pathway. Tympanic branch gives off lesser petrosal branch, otic ganglion, and then the parotid gland. When you see here, this is the auricle. Just I am labeling the parts. Auricle, tympanic plexus, twigs to the auditory tube. Okay, so this is the tympanic branch number 1. Number 2, this one is the carotid branch. Here if you see, there will be near the bifurcation, we see the carotid sinus and the carotid body to carry the pressure receptors and the chemoreceptors. Carotid sinus, and this is the carotid body. Okay, so here when you see, the glossopharyngeal nerve crosses the lower border of the stylopharyngeus, gives one branch here, which we call as the pharyngeal branch. So this one contributes to the formation of pharyngeal plexus, pharyngeal branch. Then it enters the substance of the tongue to supply till the posterior 1/3 alone. Okay, posterior 1/3 including the circumvallate papilla. So I'll indicate it like this, including the circumvallate papilla. So those branches we will name it as the lingual branches. Glossopharyngeal nerve is a mixed nerve. Why? Because it gives only one branch, motor branch, which is to the stylopharyngeus. So this one we can label it as branch to stylopharyngeus. It also gives branches to the tonsil and to the soft palate. So we call these branches as the tonsillar branches. So number 1, tympanic branch. Number 2, carotid branch. Number 3, pharyngeal branch. Number 4, branch to stylopharyngeus, which is the only motor branch. Lingual branches to the tongue, posterior 1/3 of the tongue including the circumvallate papilla, and also carries general sensation from all these structures to the brain. So they also form general visceral afferent and special visceral afferent, carry the taste sensation to the brain as well as general sensation to the brain, and this supplies the skin of the auricle. Okay, so the skin of the auricle, it is carried by the general somatic afferent fibers carrying the general sensation over the skin of the auricle to the brain, that is specifically to the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Tympanic branch forms tympanic plexus over the promontory, gives branches to the auditory tube, and one branch called as a lesser petrosal relays in the otic ganglion, carries preganglionic fibers from the inferior salivatory nucleus, relays in the otic ganglion, and the postganglionic fibers via the auriculotemporal nerve reaches the parotid gland. Then we saw about carotid branches supplying the carotid sinus and the carotid body, carrying the afferent lip to manage the respiration and the chemical changes and the pressure changes, chemoreceptors and baroreceptors, thereby balancing the heart rate and respiration. Pharyngeal branch to form pharyngeal plexus. And then lingual branches to the tongue, tonsillar branches to the tonsil and the soft palate. So these are the branches of the glossopharyngeal nerve, and the 6 branches, if you are able to draw this diagram and label the parts, that is more than enough to explain. And whenever there is lesion, whatever sensation and whatever functions the glossopharyngeal nerve is doing, it is lost. Mainly it can be checked by the loss of taste sensation from the posterior 1/3 of the tongue, and when we touch the tonsil or the soft palate, the uvula of the soft palate, there will be gag reflex. If these both are okay, then there is no injury to the glossopharyngeal nerve. This is how it is tested. So the next we'll read about the hypoglossal nerve in another lecture with a draw and learn diagram. See you till then. Take care. Bye bye.